Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to crochet this shawl here. Now it's quite large. From corner to corner across the top is about 80 inches. And then from one corner all the way down to the point is about 76. Now you definitely don't have to make it that big if you don't want to. As you can see, it does have a slight dip in it, which allows it to hang over the shoulders a little bit better. So if yours is doing that, that's fine. It's supposed to do that. And you can see it's made with shell stitches here. It's actually not very hard at all. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Today I'm using their Lamia 100% bamboo yarn. It's super soft. It's real nice. It is a lightweight 3 yarn. And there are 125 yards in this ball, and I went through 8, so you're going to need about 1,000 yards if you want to make it as big as me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. There's also a link below in the description box for that, to where you can click and auto subscribe. That way you never miss any of my tutorials. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Okay, you want to start with a slip knot on your hook. And now we're going to start by working a chain of 4. And now we're going to work 2 double crochets right back down here into the very first stitch. And then we're going to chain 2. And now we're going to work 3 double crochets back into the same spot again. So 3 doubles now. Just like that. Now if you pull that tail, it'll close that up a little bit. There we go. And that'll end row 1. And you will have 6 double crochets now, because this little chain right here counts as a double crochet. So row 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we want to put 2 double crochets right back into that very first stitch. No matter what row you're on, you always start with 2 double crochets into the very first stitch. So there's 1 and 2. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches here. So 1 double onto the next, 1 double into the next, and now we're going to be at our chain 2 space. This chain 2 space is going to be the point of the shawl, and we're always going to work the same thing into the chain 2 space. We're going to go right into it, and we're going to work 2 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 2, and then go back into it and work 2 more double crochets. Just like that. Now we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches. And then the last stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets into the last stitch. So no matter what row you're on, it's always 2 double crochets into the last stitch. And it's going to be this chain right here. So just kind of somewhere at the top of the chain, go ahead and put 2 double crochets into it. Just like that. And that'll end row 2, and now you'll have 12 stitches. Row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Remember, we always start with 2 double crochets into the very first stitch. Now I'm going to do a chain of 2. And then I'm going to skip 2 stitches and double crochet into the next. So skip, skip, and double into the next. Now I'm going to skip 2, or chain 2, I'm sorry, chain 2 and skip 2, skip, skip, and then we'll be into the point of our shawl. So that's where we're going to go and work our, right through the chain space, 2 double crochets. A chain of 2 and 2 more doubles into the same space. Just like that. And now we're just going to repeat what we did over here on this side. So we're going to chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next, chain 2, skip 2, and into the last stitch here you'll put 2 double crochets because it's your last stitch, and it always gets 2 double crochets. Oops. And that'll end row 3. And you'll have 2 chain spaces on this side and 2 on this side, and then you'll have the 1 at the point. Row 4, chain 1, and turn our work. Start off 2 double crochets into the very first stitch. Now we're going to chain 2, single crochet right here into the very first chain space. So we just go right through it and single crochet. Now we're going to work a shell right here into the top of this double crochet. A shell consists of 5 double crochets into the same stitch. So we just did our single crochet into that chain space. Now we're just going to work directly into the next double crochet and work 5 double crochets, which will be our shell. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're just going to go right here into the next chain space and single crochet. Just like that. Now we're going to work a chain 2 and right here into the point of our shawl we're going to work our 2 double crochets, a chain of 2, and 2 more double crochets. And again, we're just going to kind of repeat the same thing over here that we just did over there. So we're going to chain 2, single crochet right here into this first chain space, and then we're going to work a shell in the top of the next double. So right in the top of it we're going to work 5 double crochets. Now we're going to put 1 single crochet right here into this next chain space. Then we're going to chain 2, and work 2 double crochets into the very last stitch. And that'll end row 4. And you can see you have 2 shells now, 1 on each side. Now row 5 begins the repeat. It's a simple 2-row repeat. So row 5 and 6 is going to be the repeat for the rest of the shawl. So row 5, we will chain 1 and turn our work. 2 double crochets into the very first stitch. Chain 2, single crochet right here into the very first chain space, chain 2, double crochet right here into this next single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the middle of the next shell. So find the middle stitch and single crochet right into the top of it, chain 2, double crochet right here into the next single crochet, chain 2, single crochet right here into the next chain space, chain 2, and now we're at the point of our shawl, and that's where we'll go right into that space and work 2 doubles, a chain of 2, and 2 more doubles. So we're just going to kind of repeat the same thing again. Chain 2, single crochet into the first chain space, right through the space, chain 2, double crochet right here into the next single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the middle of the next shell, so find the middle stitch, single crochet right in the top of it, chain 2, double crochet into the next single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into this last chain space, so right through the space, single, chain 2, and 2 double crochets into the top of the very last stitch. And that'll end row 5. Row 6, we chain 1 and turn our work. This is where we'll do shells again. 2 double crochets into the very first stitch, chain 2, single crochet into the very first chain space. Now this next single crochet, we're going to put a shell right on top of it. So we did this single crochet here, we're not going to chain or anything, we're just going to go directly into the next single crochet and work a shell. So 5 double crochets into that next single. Then we're going to single crochet into the top of the next double. And then we're going to shell into the next single, which you will see will be on top of the previous shell. So shell right into the next single. single into the top of the next double, shell into the next single, and we just keep repeating that until we get to chain 2 space of our point. Five. Now I'm going to, here's my point. I'm going to single crochet right here into the last chain space before my point. Then I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to go into the point and work my 2 doubles, chain 2 and 2 doubles. And now we just want to do the same thing on the other side that we just did on the previous side. So we chain 2, single crochet into this first chain space, shell into the next single crochet, single crochet into the top of the next double, shell into the next single, and we just kind of repeat that. Single into the next double, shell into the next single, and then we're going to single crochet into the last chain space, chain 2, and 2 double crochets into the last stitch, and that'll end row 6. And now you should have 6 shells. Every shell row will have 4 more shells than the previous shell row. So we had 2 before, now we have 6. Now it's just a repeat of rows 5 and 6. So for row 7, we'll just repeat row 5, where we chain 1 and turn, 2 doubles into the very first stitch, like always, chain 2, and single crochet into the first chain space, chain 2, double crochet into the next single, chain 2, single into the middle of the next shell, so the middle stitch, single crochet, chain 2, double right down here into the next single, chain 2, single into the middle of the next shell, chain 2, double into the next single, chain 2, single in the middle of the next shell, and we'll just keep repeating this until we get to the point of our shawl, double into the next single, And here is my last chain space before the point, so I want to chain 2, single crochet into that last chain space, chain 2, and then go into the point and do my of the shawl and do my 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And then I just repeat the same thing on this side that I did over here. So I chain 2, single crochet into the first chain space, chain 2, double into my first single, chain 2, single in the middle of my first shell, and I'm just going to repeat this pattern until I get to the end. Okay, I'm coming to the end. I single crochet there in the middle of my last shell. I need to chain 2, double crochet into my last single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into this last chain space, chain 2, and 2 double crochets into the last stitch. Probably seems like a lot of stitches here at the end and at the beginning, but that's just the way it is. Just like that. Now for row 8, we're just going to repeat what we did for row 6, the shell row. So I'll go ahead and do it one more time. We chain 1 and turn, 2 double crochets into the very first stitch, chain 2, and single crochet into your first chain space. Now we're going to shell into our first single crochet, so 5 double crochets, and then we're going to single crochet into the top of our next double, shell into our next single, single into our next double, shell into our next single, and we're just going to repeat that until we get to our last stitches up here to the point. Okay, I just did my last shell there. Now I want to go ahead and single crochet right here into the last chain space before I get to the point. Then I chain 2, and I go right into the point of my shawl and work my 2 doubles and my chain 2 and my 2 doubles. And again, I'm going to repeat this, what I did on this side, over here on this side. So I will chain 2 and single crochet into the first chain space and shell into the next single crochet, single in top of the next double, and shell into the next single, and I'm going to repeat this until I get to the end of my row. Okay, Okay, I'm coming to the end here. I just did my last shell into my last single. Now I want to single crochet into my last chain space here before the end. So go ahead and single crochet right into it. And then we chain 2 and 2 double crochets in the last stitch. And now you'll have 10 shells at the end of row 8, because it's always 4 more than the previous shell row. So we had 6 on the previous one, now we have 10. That's it. You just keep repeating those 2 rows. Rows 5 and 6 are the repeat. You can see how it's starting to U, and that is fine. It will start to U, and the bigger it gets, the more it'll still be U'd, but it won't look quite as U'd as it does when it's smaller. But you can do this, keep repeating rows 5 and 6 for as many rows as you want. You can see the shells, they stay lined up with each other, right on top of each other. Now I did a total of 42 rows starting from row 1. You do as many as you want. But I ended in the last row was a shell row. So however many rows you want to do, you want to end at the shell row. Or if you want to end in the other row, you could always add fringe or something. But that's it. It's just a repeat of 5 and 6. And then just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Prettier and prettier. So I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Hope you're able to follow along, okay? Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Remember, you'll find the link in the description box to auto-subscribe. And until next time, have a good day.